Hello, fellow entrepreneur, and welcome to this part of the idea validation framework, where we will play with numbers. We've already learned so much, and in front of you, in your notes, physical or digital, you should have the following. A description of your idea, short and concrete. The answer to the questions, who is the idea for, and why will they use it? And since I don't know what your idea is, I will use my own idea as a basis for the rest of the process. And my notes at this point looks like this. Idea, PingPang, a virtual agent that handles your LinkedIn messages. Who is it for? People who subscribe to LinkedIn Premium. Why? Because messages they care about drown in spam. If your notes don't look like this, I encourage you to go back and repeat the steps so that you end up with this setup for your idea. As the old saying goes, shit in, shit out, it's crucial that you're happy with your work so far before we start adding numbers and move forwards towards validation. If you experience challenges at this stage, you can also visit Never Settle's community. There, I expect you'll find others who are in the process like you, or people who are well-trained, who can help you. I'm there as well, and I'll answer questions as much as I can. So when I record this video, there are also workshops planned, and I do both physical workshops, where this course is run through step by step, and I help the participants to solve the tasks, and digital workshops are also planned. So if you need help, there's options. When you've finished the course, you will receive an email with an offer to participate in these workshops. Training is important, and the work you put in now is valuable in avoiding problems later. Okay, let's focus on the next step of the idea validation framework. So, why do we need numbers? Well, we agree that the opinions we have extracted from our own head for our idea form the basis of an hypothesis. So, a hypothesis about who the idea is for and why they want to use it. But the premise of an hypothesis is that we can test it to find out whether it is true or false. And since we want to avoid failure and seek to succeed with our idea, we need to add numbers. Without numbers, we can't validate the hypothesis. So without validation of the hypothesis, we do not know whether the idea is worth further work. For most of us, an idea represents a potential business, or at least we have some goal that we want to achieve with the idea. It can be, how many people will buy it, one or many times, or at what price, how many will subscribe or use the service, how often, and so on. We will look at such goals and learn how to define success in the next section, especially considering that all ideas are different. And while one idea to be successful depends on the number of units sold, other ideas may have less commercial goals, such as number of users, page views, donations received, or trees planted in the forest, and you know what I mean. So therefore, we need to add numbers to our hypothesis. And if you feel that the numbers I add here don't fit your idea well, then you can go through the next video, which deals with defining success, and then go back to this one to make the numbers fit with your idea. So our idea is already known, and in my case, it's PingPang. We don't know if our target audience, that is those we think will use the idea, is the right audience, but we have to find that out. And even if we are correct about the audience who will use the idea, we can't assume that every person in the group will become our customer. I don't know of any product or service that is used by 100% of the potential audience, even when the idea is executed to perfection by experienced professionals backed by unlimited resources. So we need to add sensible numbers to our hypothesis to make it testable. And for this, we have some options. Of course, we can make something up, and since you want to learn how to validate your idea and test your hypothesis, just making up numbers might seem tempting as a shortcut, and I'm all for shortcuts, but I strongly recommend that you spend some time doing desktop research. It will save you time and reduce potential problems later in the process. So how do we research to add numbers? We know opinions are dangerous, and we want real data. Now, the good news is that there is most likely a ton of market data for our audience and for products and services similar to our idea. And when we look at actual sales or usage data, these are far from opinions. as they usually represent actual data collected after the fact, after an idea has been created, marketed, and sold. And here are some examples that we can learn from. So Apple is known for their high quality products, excellent design, not to mention their marketing and distribution. And when we do research, and you can do this by Googling, asking your favorite AI agent, or checking publicly available financial reports, we find that the smartphone market at time of this recording is about 1.8 billion units sold annually. Apple has about 20 to 25% of this market. So one of the absolute best products from an amazing company, credited by many with inventing the smartphone, has about 20% market share for a device that's bought about every 2 or 3 years for an average amount of around $1,000. If we do the same desktop research for Tesla, we see that they have about 17 to 20% of the electric car market. If we look at AirPods from Apple, they have about 30% of the wireless earbud market. Spotify, about 31% of the music streaming market. Netflix, about 21% of the video streaming market, and the list goes on. I show you this to establish two important points. Finding actual sales and marketing data is quite easy with desktop research. The adoption numbers are usually much lower than what I see idea creators and their teams put into their hypothesis when making estimates for their own ideas. We'll talk more about the numbers which define success in the next video, but now that we're going to add numbers to our own idea, remember that some of the best idea creators out there with ultra professional execution seem to be able to reach about 25% of the product target audience when the idea is the right idea and the execution is flawless. So with all this as a backdrop, I will add numbers to my hypothesis, and in the assignment for this section, you must do the same. So the numbers we need to add are the following. What percentage of the target audience will use our idea? At what cost, if relevant to your idea? And at what frequency, if relevant for your idea? Now, I'm going to do this for my idea so that you can follow along and learn. So my idea is Ping Pang, a virtual agent that handles your LinkedIn messages. Who is it for? That would be the target audience. People on LinkedIn who has a premium subscription. And why will they use it? Because messages that they care about, they're drowning in spam. So to put numbers into my hypothesis, I first have to do desktop research. So I start by finding out how many people are on LinkedIn, and I find that they have about 950 million users, and then I look at how many of those have a premium subscription, as my idea relies on access to the API features that subscription unlocks. There are approximately 35 to 40 million premium users. Next, I research whether there are other LinkedIn connected applications and services that offer various advanced features for professional LinkedIn users. And I find that such third-party connected services range in price from about $15 to $200 a month. Now, using this research and the data I've found as a guide, I try to be rational and reasonable. I'll pull numbers from my head based on research and put them into my hypothesis, remembering that the right ideas executed to perfection typically gets no more than 25% adoption in the market. So I've defined the target audience, LinkedIn premium users. I've set a number for how many in the target audience I think will use my idea, 10%. And I've set a price point, $20 a month, which indicates both the price and the frequency because my idea is based on a monthly subscription. So then I can write out my updated hypothesis with numbers. And it looks like this. 10% of LinkedIn premium users who are introduced to Ping Pang will subscribe for $20 a month to find messages they care about and automate responses to spam. So with this method, we can work out a numerical hypothesis for our idea. And this is another important skill that you must practice and learn to master so that you can validate your ideas. And don't be discouraged that these questions are difficult to answer. That's a good thing. You're spending valuable time now training to do this correctly, and it will pay off later. And if necessary, scroll back and follow my logic and apply it to your own idea until you get it. And you can also ask for help from others in our community. So That concludes this section. Now you should complete the assignment. Do your own research and add numbers to your hypothesis. I'll see you in the next one.